Imagine working 60-hour weeks for 3 straight years, skipping vacations, eating cheap lunches, turning down nights out with your friends, all because someone told you that if you just saved enough and invested smart, the money would eventually take care of itself. You did everything right. You read the books. You watched the videos. You followed the advice of people who claimed they had cracked the code on wealth building. And then you checked your account after 36 months of sacrifice and discipline, and the number staring back at you was almost identical to where you started. That was me at 28. And that moment almost broke something inside me. Because here is the brutal truth that nobody in the personal finance world wants to admit on camera. Most of what you have been taught about how to make money and build real wealth is not wrong exactly. It is just catastrophically incomplete. And that incompleteness is costing you years of your life. Today, I am going to show you the actual wealth creation formula. Not a motivational speech. Not a list of tips. A literal formula that explains exactly why getting rich quickly never works the way people promise. And more importantly, why once you finally understand this formula, wealth stops feeling impossible and starts feeling almost inevitable. Stay with me until the end, because what I am about to share is going to reframe everything you think you know about money, investing, financial planning, and the real mechanics behind how millionaires are actually made. And if you are new here, subscribe and turn on notifications. Let us start with the lie that nearly destroyed my financial life. I want you to think about the last time you heard someone say something like this. Just invest consistently, be patient, and the compounding will do the work for you. Sounds reasonable, right? Sounds almost obvious. The problem is that statement is missing 4 critical pieces of context that completely change how that advice actually functions in the real world. And without those 4 pieces, that advice is almost useless. Here is what I mean. When most people first learn about investing, whether through a book like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or through a YouTube video or a financial planning class, they get introduced to the idea of compound interest. They see the charts showing how $10,000 grows into $100,000 over a long enough timeline. They get excited. They open an account. They start putting money in. And then they wait. And they wait. And they wait. And the chart on their screen looks nothing like the beautiful exponential curve they were promised. The balance barely moves. Every month feels like nothing is happening. And most people, most normal working people who are trying to build wealth from scratch, they eventually lose faith. They stop contributing. They pull money out during market dips because the emotional pain of watching their balance fall outweighs the abstract future promise of growth. They try something else. Maybe they chase a hot stock tip. Maybe they fall for a real estate investing scheme that promises fast returns. Maybe they just give up entirely and tell themselves that wealth building is for people who started with money. And here is the devastating part. They were actually doing it right. They just did not understand the formula well enough to survive the process. So what is the wealth creation formula? Let me break it down in a way that is going to make everything click. The formula has 4 variables. Most people only understand one of them. Variable 1 is return rate. This is the percentage your money earns annually. It is what everyone focuses on. How to invest in stocks correctly. Which funds have the best performance. How to maximize yield. Everyone obsesses over this. But here is what the financial education world does not emphasize enough. Return rate is actually the least controllable variable in the entire formula. You cannot control the market. You cannot control interest rates. You cannot control economic cycles. Spending all your energy optimizing your return rate while ignoring the other 3 variables is like trying to win a race by only focusing on your shoes while ignoring your training, your diet, and the route you are running. Variable 2 is principal. This is the amount of money you actually have working for you. This is where most personal finance advice correctly lands when it talks about saving money and investing for beginners. Increase your income. Reduce your expenses. Put more capital to work. That advice is right, but it is still incomplete because principal alone without the other variables is just money sitting there. Variable 3 is time, and this is where it gets interesting. Because time is not linear in wealth building. It is exponential. But the exponential part does not show up the way most people expect. Here is the critical insight that most people miss. The growth curve of compounding is almost flat for the first stage, mildly sloped in the second stage, noticeably curved in the third stage, and then nearly vertical in the fourth stage. And most people quit somewhere in the first or second stage because they cannot see the vertical part coming. It feels like nothing is working. The progress feels invisible, but the math is silently building towards something that will eventually look miraculous. The problem is the emotional experience of the first stage is almost indistinguishable from failure, and nobody adequately prepares people for that. Variable 4 is the one that almost nobody talks about, and this is the real secret inside the wealth creation formula. And to make your wealth creation formula journey effortless, we're building the Trip to Wealth Command Center, a Google Sheet system that brings your income, spending, investing, and net worth together in one place. Join the early access list below and secure a discount as an early supporter. Every wealth system needs a strategy. This is where yours begins. Let's continue with the final variable. Variable 4 is behavioral consistency under emotional pressure. Let me say that again because it matters. Behavioral consistency under emotional pressure. This is not about mindset in the vague motivational sense. This is about the specific, measurable ability to continue executing the right financial behaviors when the emotional signals in your brain are screaming at you to stop. When the market drops 20% and your gut says sell everything, behavioral consistency means you hold or you buy more. When a new business opportunity promises fast money and every instinct says jump on it, behavioral consistency means you evaluate it calmly against your strategy rather than reacting emotionally. When your lifestyle starts creeping up because your income went up and your brain is rationalizing new expenses as deserved rewards, behavioral consistency means you redirect that surplus back into your wealth-building system. This variable, variable 4, is the single biggest predictor of whether someone actually becomes wealthy. Not their IQ, not their income, not even their investment choices. Their behavioral consistency under pressure. This is the part that changes everything. Here is how most people think the formula works. They think wealth is roughly equal to smart investing plus saving money plus time. Like they are all adding up in a straight line. But the actual formula is multiplicative. Each variable multiplies the effect of the others. When you have strong principal and strong return rate but poor behavioral consistency, the whole thing collapses. When you have strong behavioral consistency and strong time but weak principal, growth is frustratingly slow. When all 4 variables are operating well together, the result is not just incrementally better, it is exponentially better. It is the difference between someone who technically knows everything about personal finance and investing but never builds real wealth, and someone who maybe only gets a slightly above average return rate but executes consistently for decades and ends up genuinely rich. I want to walk you through a real scenario so you can see exactly how this plays out. Take 2 people. Let us call them Alex and Jordan. Both are 25 years old. Both earn the same income. Both learn about wealth building at the same time. Alex goes deep on how to make money online and investing strategies. Alex spends enormous energy researching the best stocks, trying to find the highest return opportunities, reading every book about financial education, jumping between strategies whenever something more promising appears on the radar. Alex is smart. Alex is motivated. Alex works incredibly hard at optimizing variable 1, the return rate. Jordan takes a different approach. Jordan picks a straightforward, diversified investment strategy, sets up automatic contributions so the money moves without requiring a decision each month, and then almost deliberately ignores the daily fluctuations of the market. Jordan does not chase hot opportunities. Jordan does not switch strategies when things get volatile. Jordan just keeps going. Jordan also focuses heavily on increasing income through skills and career development, which gradually increases the principal going into the investment system each year. Now let us jump forward 20 years. Alex has had some impressive wins. There were years where Alex significantly outperformed the market. But there were also years of major losses, a few panic sales during downturns, some high-risk ventures that did not pay off, and significant periods of being out of the market entirely while researching the next great opportunity. Jordan has had a completely unspectacular investing journey on paper. Average returns most years. Nothing exciting to report at dinner parties. But Jordan never pulled money out during dips. Jordan kept contributing through every market cycle. Jordan's principal grew steadily as income increased. And Jordan never once deviated from the strategy. At 45, Jordan has significantly more wealth than Alex. Not because of superior investing knowledge. Not because of higher income or better luck. Because Jordan's behavioral consistency multiplied the effect of time and principle in ways that Alex's optimized return rate strategy never could. This is the wealth creation formula in action. This is why getting rich quickly does not work. Not because quick gains are impossible. They are occasionally possible. But because the pursuit of quick gains almost always destroys variable 4. It destroys behavioral consistency. It trains your brain to look for shortcuts instead of building the systems that actually generate lasting wealth. Every time you chase a hot tip, you are not just risking the money in that specific bet. You are actively weakening your capacity for the kind of patient, disciplined execution that the wealth creation formula requires. If this perspective aligns with your approach to money and long-term freedom, comment the word "long game" below. I read every one of them. Now I want to address something that I know is going through some of your minds right now. You might be thinking, okay, this all makes sense conceptually, but what does this actually mean for what I should do right now? Because personal finance advice that stays abstract is not useful. So let me get specific. The first practical application of the wealth creation formula is to completely reorder your financial priorities. Stop treating return rate optimization as your primary goal. It should actually be your fourth priority, not your first. Your first priority is maximizing your behavioral system. Set up your investments on autopilot so they require zero emotional decision-making on a monthly basis. The less you have to decide, the less opportunity there is for your emotions to sabotage you. This is one of the most underappreciated pieces of financial planning advice that exists. Make the right behavior the default behavior. Remove as many friction points as possible between your money and your investment accounts. Your second priority is principal growth. Focus aggressively on increasing your income through skill development, career advancement, entrepreneurship, or any legitimate means of making money that aligns with your strengths. More capital flowing into a consistent system dramatically accelerates the timeline. Real estate investing, building a business, developing high-income skills, these are all valid vehicles for increasing principal. The key is that whatever income generation strategy you pursue, it has to feed back into your core wealth-building system. Income that gets spent on lifestyle inflation does not compound. Only invested capital compounds. Your third priority is protecting your time horizon. This means making decisions today that maximize how long your money stays working. It means not cashing out investments for non-emergency expenses. It means building an emergency fund that is completely separate from your investment portfolio so that life's inevitable surprises do not force you to interrupt the compounding process. The single most expensive financial mistake most people make is not a bad investment. It is interrupting their compounding timeline by pulling money out during a crisis because they had no financial buffer. Your fourth priority, and only your fourth priority, is return rate optimization. Yes, you should learn how to invest in stocks appropriately. Yes, you should understand how to allocate capital across asset classes. Yes, you should educate yourself on real estate investing and other wealth-building vehicles. But do this work in service of your system, not as a replacement for your system. There is an important psychological element here that I want to dig into because it connects to something deep in how our brains process money decisions. Human beings are wired for immediate rewards. This is not a character flaw. It is evolutionary biology. Our ancestors, who responded urgently to immediate threats and opportunities, survived better than those who were patient and long-term oriented. But that same wiring that kept our ancestors alive is absolutely catastrophic for wealth building in the modern world. Every time you see an opportunity for quick money, your brain activates the same reward circuitry that makes gambling addictive. Every time your investments lose value, your brain activates the same threat response that would have made sense when a physical predator was nearby. The volatility of markets is psychologically experienced by your brain as something closer to a life-threatening situation than an abstract number fluctuation. This is why even highly intelligent, financially educated people make terrible money decisions. It is not an information problem. It is a neurological problem, and the wealth creation formula addresses this by structuring your financial life in a way that reduces the number of moments where your emotional brain gets to vote on your financial decisions. Automation is not just convenient. It is neurologically strategic. When your money moves automatically into investments before you ever see it, your emotional brain never gets the chance to redirect that money toward a more immediately pleasurable use. This is the real reason why concepts like paying yourself first work so effectively. They are not just saving strategies. They are psychological systems that route around the predictable failure points of human cognition. Let me now talk about the timeline reality of the wealth creation formula, because I think this is where most people need the most honest conversation. The growth pattern of properly executed wealth building has a specific shape. The first phase, which typically lasts somewhere between 3 and 7 years depending on your starting capital and contribution rate, is what I call the invisible phase. Your balance is growing, but it does not feel like it. The increases are small enough that they are emotionally underwhelming. This is the phase where most people quit, pivot, or make desperate moves that undo their progress. The second phase is what I call the recognition phase. Your balance has grown enough that the annual gains start to look meaningful relative to your contributions. You might have been contributing $1,000 a month for years, and suddenly your account earns $12,000 in a single year just from growth, which is roughly equivalent to your annual contributions. Your brain finally starts to feel like the system is working. This phase typically activates somewhere between years 5 and 12, depending on your principal and return rate. The third phase is what I call the acceleration phase. The annual gains from your portfolio start to significantly exceed your annual contributions. The math is now clearly in your favor, even to your emotionally wired brain. Your motivation to stay consistent increases naturally because the evidence of progress is unmistakable. Your wealth is growing faster on its own than most people earn in a salary. This is financial freedom. Not in the vague motivational poster sense, but in the literal mechanical sense. Your wealth creation system has developed its own gravity. The tragedy is that the vast majority of people who could reach phase 3 or 4 never get there. Not because the math stopped working, not because they lacked intelligence or opportunity, but because they could not survive phase 1 emotionally. They did not have a framework that helped them understand what they were experiencing and why it was actually working, even when it felt like it was not. The wealth creation formula is that framework. And now I want to talk about passive income, because this is one of the most misused concepts in personal finance content. Passive income is not a starting point. It is an output. It is what happens after you have successfully executed the wealth creation formula across its first 3 phases. The reason passive income content is so popular and so often misleading is that people want to shortcut directly to phase 4 without building through phases 1, 2, and 3. They want the income without the compounding. They want the harvest without the planting. And there are certainly some passive income strategies that generate cash flow relatively quickly. Rental income from real estate investing, dividend income from established stock positions, royalty income from digital products. But here is what those strategies almost never tell you. Generating passive income reliably requires either significant capital upfront, which most people trying to learn how to make money online do not have, or significant time and skill investment upfront, which eliminates the passive part for years. True sustainable passive income is not a strategy. It is a phase. It is what phase 4 looks like. And the path to it runs directly through the wealth creation formula. There is one more component of the wealth creation formula that I have not fully addressed yet, and it might be the most uncomfortable one. It is the role of financial education, not as information consumption, but as identity transformation. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was not popular because it taught new financial facts. Accounting textbooks have more financial facts. It was popular because it offered a new identity. It helped people see themselves differently in relation to money. And identity is incredibly powerful in wealth building because your financial behaviors flow directly from your financial identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, someone who was not born into wealth, someone who does not really understand investing, those identity beliefs will consistently undermine your behavioral consistency, which is variable 4, which is the most important variable. Genuine financial education is not just about learning how to invest in stocks or understanding money management ratios. It is about developing a relationship with financial information that is empowering rather than anxiety-inducing. It is about building a self-concept around wealth building that makes consistent behavior feel natural rather than forced. The millionaires who built wealth without starting wealthy almost universally describe a moment when they stopped seeing wealth as something that happened to other people and started seeing it as the predictable mathematical outcome of a specific set of repeated behaviors over time. That shift is not just motivational. It is the activation of variable 4 at a deep level. When you genuinely believe that consistent behavior over time produces predictable results, your capacity to execute that consistent behavior under pressure dramatically increases. This is the psychological dimension of the wealth creation formula. Let me bring this all together with a direct challenge for you. Right now, today, I want you to evaluate where you stand on each of the 4 variables. Variable 1, your return rate. Is your money in appropriate vehicles for your timeline and risk tolerance? Are you educated enough about investing to make informed choices without getting emotionally reactive to short-term volatility? Variable 2, your principal. Are you genuinely maximizing the amount of capital going into your system? Have you seriously looked at how to increase your income through business, career advancement, or entrepreneurship? Is there lifestyle inflation currently stealing capital that should be compounding? Variable 3, your time horizon. Have you made decisions that protect your timeline? Do you have an emergency fund that prevents life circumstances from forcing you out of your investments? Have you set up your investments to operate automatically so time works for you without requiring constant decisions? Variable 4, your behavioral consistency. What is your honest track record? How have you behaved during the last market downturn? Have you made emotional financial decisions in the past 2 years that you later regretted? What systems do you have in place to protect your behavior from your own emotional reactions? Because here is the bottom line truth that I want you to leave this video understanding. Wealth is not a mystery. It is not reserved for the lucky or the privileged or the genius-level financial strategist. It is the predictable mathematical outcome of the wealth creation formula executed consistently over time. The reason getting rich quickly does not work is not that fast results are impossible. It is that the mindset and behavior patterns associated with chasing quick results are fundamentally incompatible with the behavioral consistency that the formula requires. Every shortcut you chase trains your brain away from the very qualities that actually build wealth. Every system you build, every automated contribution, every ignored market panic, every dollar redirected from lifestyle inflation back into your investment system is training your brain toward the qualities that make wealth almost inevitable. The formula works. It has always worked. The only question is whether you will build a life and a system that allows you to execute it consistently enough for long enough to experience phase 4. Start today. Not when the market looks better. Not when your income is higher. Not when you have more time to research the perfect strategy. Today. Because the most expensive thing in personal finance is not a bad investment. It is a delayed start. Every year you wait does not just subtract 12 months from your compounding timeline. Because of how exponential growth works, early years are worth dramatically more than later years. A dollar invested at 25 is worth vastly more at 65 than a dollar invested at 35. That is not an opinion. That is arithmetic. The wealth creation formula does not care about your excuses. It does not care about your circumstances. It does not care about how unfair things feel or how late you think you started. It only responds to execution. And the beautiful thing is that execution is something you can choose to do right now. So choose it. Build the system. Trust the formula. And go get what you actually deserve. If this video changed the way you think about wealth building and personal finance, hit subscribe because the next video is going to go even deeper into exactly how to structure your financial system for maximum compounding efficiency, and it is going to include some specific numbers and strategies that most financial education content never touches. You do not want to miss it. And if you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Feel free to leave your comment below, especially if this video made you think differently. I appreciate your support more than you know. Until next time, stay consistent, stay patient, and stay winning. See you in the next one, Money Magician.